Welcome back to the Inner Compass. I'm your host, Sasha, and I'm happy to announce that we are officially in Series 2 now. The inner work has begun. If you listened to the introduction episode, you know that the series is going somewhere deeper into the things most people carry quietly without ever holding them up to the light. And we are starting right at the heart of it. Today's episode is about something I believe every single person listening right now might have struggled with at least once and probably more than once. Letting go. Not the surface version of letting go, not moving on or getting over it, or pretending something didn't matter, but the real, honest, sometimes terrifying question underneath. How do you release something without feeling like you are losing a piece of who you are? Because that is why letting go is actually hard. Not because we are weak, not because we don't know better, but because when something becomes important enough, we weave it into our identity. And releasing it can feel like releasing a part of ourselves. Today, we are going to understand why that happens. And more importantly, we are learning to go we are going to learn the art of opening our hands without losing ourselves in the process. Let me paint a picture, and I want you to notice without judgment which one makes something in you catch. There is something in your life right now that you know somewhere deep and quiet inside you that you need to let go of. Maybe it is a relationship that has run its course, one that once gave you something real but has slowly, undeniably became something that costs you more than it gives. Maybe it is a job, a role, a version of your life that no longer fits who you are becoming. Maybe it is a version of yourself, the one who always performs, always pleases, always holds everything together. That you have been wearing for so long that you forgot it was just a costume and not your real skill. Maybe it is a grudge, an old hurt, something that happened years ago that still lives in your chest like a splinter you have never quite been able to remove. Or maybe, and this is the one that quietly undoes so many of us, maybe it is a dream in its current form, the specific version of the life you thought you were going to have. Did something stir when I named one of those? You already know what it is. Most of us do. The knowing has been there for a very long time. What has kept us from acting on it is the question we are going to answer today. So, why it is hard to let go of something genuinely, stubbornly hard? Well, especially when we are self aware people, people who meditate, who journal, who read the books and listen to the podcasts and genuinely want to grow. Why do we still hold on? I think there are two reasons, and neither of them I call them as weakness. The first one I have named it as identity fusion. When something becomes deeply important to us, a relationship, a role, an achievement, a way of being in the world, we begin to weave it into our sense of self. It stops being something we have and starts being something we are. I am someone who has that profession. I am the strong one, the reliable one. I am someone in that relationship. I am the one who never asks for help. When that thing needs to go or change, it doesn't just feel like loss. It feels like an eraser. Like, if I let this go, who would I be? And that question, that is the real reason we hold on to. The second is what I call the sunk cost of the heart. The longer we have held something, the more of ourselves we have invested in it, and the harder it becomes to release. Because releasing it can feel like we are admitting that all of that love, all of that time, all of that hope was somehow wasted. But I want to genuinely tell you, nothing you genuinely loved or did was ever wasted. Even the things that needed to end, even the choice that led somewhere painful, even the version of yourself you are finally ready to release, all of it you have shaped you into someone capable of something better. And that is not nothing. That is everything. So something if something is unnamed, if you certainly are not sure what it is, if there is just a feeling of holding, a tightness somewhere, something unnamed, that is completely okay. You don't need to name it precisely for today's tool to work. Just bring whatever is there. Let it be as vague as it is. The practices will help you find the edges of it. If you are still holding on to that relationship, I want to say this with care. Loving someone and holding on to them past the point where it serves neither either of you are two different things. You can love someone deeply and still choose to release the grip. That is not abandonment. That is the one of most honest and courageous acts of love. Don't you think so? If what you are releasing is an identity, a role, a way of being seen, a version of yourself that have you have outgrown, I want to say it out loud today. The fact that you are ready to release, it means you have already grown beyond it. The discomfort is not a sign you're losing yourself. It is a sign you're finding a truer version of yourself. And if it is a dream in its current form that needs to be released, hear this. Letting go of the shape of a dream is not same as letting go of the dream itself. The essence of what you wanted, the feeling it promised, the version of yourself it called forward that lives in you. What is being released is just the specific packaging. Try that. You might land up in something that you would be grateful for. And if it's a grudge or an old hurt you have been carrying, I want to say this gently. Forgiveness is not something you do for the other person. It is something you do for yourself. You are not excusing what happened. You are choosing to stop paying the ongoing price for something that was never your fault. And lastly, if it's an old version of yourself, the perfectionist, the people pleaser, the one who made themselves small to keep others comfortable, I want to acknowledge how hard that is to release. Because that version protected you, it served a real purpose at a real time. The letting go is an act of deep gratitude and a recognition that you are safe enough now to be something more and something beautiful. Here is the shift I want to offer today. We have been told that letting go means moving on, leaving something behind, closing a door, and not looking back. But I think that is wrong, or at least I think it is incomplete. Letting go is not about pretending something did not matter. It is also about releasing your grip on it so that it can take its rightful place in your story without controlling your present. Now, I want you to use your imagination about two images. The first one, a clenched fist. When you hold something in a clenched fist, it controls you. You can't do anything else with that hand. You are tense, defended, defined entirely by what you are holding. The thing has become your whole posture. Now imagine an open palm. Now you literally have to try this. Open up your hand and put your palm facing upward. It's still there. You haven't denied it. You haven't pretended it didn't happen. But it no longer controls you. You are free to move, to receive, to reach for something new, while still honoring what was real. That is what letting go actually looks like. Not erasure, not forgetting, not performing healing for an audience. Open hands signify a full heart, the freedom to carry what was real without being imprisoned by it. And the most important, I want you to understand about your identity through all of this. You are not what you hold. You are the one who decides what you hold and what you release. That choice, that capacity, that is who you really are. And no act of letting go can take that from you. So, how do you actually do this? I am offering you four different tools in practice in your daily life. Four doors into the same room. You just have to choose the one that resonates with you and you feel the most accessible to you right in that moment. The first one, I have named it as honest inventory, and it feels like the first step we are taking towards releasing. Before you can release something, you need to understand what you are actually holding, not the surface version, but the honest version. For this, you will need a piece of paper to write. You can write it. What am I holding? Beneath that, you need to be honestly writing, what am I really holding? Because most of the time, we are not holding the thing itself. We are holding what it meant about us. That relationship or the proof that you are lovable, the job or the identity it gave you, the dream or the version of yourself who had it, the grudge or the sense of justice that kept it alive. You just need to name what you are holding. That is the thing that needs your gentlest attention. You cannot release what you haven't honestly named. The inventory is not about judgment, it is about clarity, and the clarity is the first act of freedom. The second one, the I have named it the gratitude release, and it will help you for the things that matter the most. Write a letter to the relationship, to the job, the version of yourself, the dream, and say three things in that letter. Thank you for what you gave me. List out what it taught you, and also write down what you are carrying forward as you are releasing that. That is not toxic positivity. It is not pretending it didn't matter. It is acknowledging that even the painful things gave us something and choosing to carry the gift forward while releasing the grip. You don't have to send that letter. You don't have to share it. You just need to write it down and notice what shifts when you do. Gratitude is not saying this was fine, it is saying this was real and it gave me something. And I'm choosing to honor that by moving forward rather than staying frozen. I just want to share, while I was practicing my healing, our mentor also told us to write a letter. And that letter was nothing more but a beautiful way of knowing my inner child, that that you are seen and heard. And that shift, that brought out something beautiful in me. And now that has become a voice for other people to help. And I'm so glad I did that. The third one, I have named it as the identity rebuild. It can be helpful when you don't know who you are without it. Here, I'm helping you to rebuild that. When what you are releasing has become part of your identity, you cannot just remove it and leave the space empty. You need to actively rebuild who you are without it. Ask yourself and write the answers. Who am I beyond this? What qualities do I have that exist completely independently, or what am I releasing? What do I value? What lights me up? What have I always been underneath all those stories and the roles? You are older than your attachments. You existed before this thing became important. And there is a version of you who, who is wiser, freer, more fully yourself, waiting on the other side of the release. The release does not take anything from you that was truly yours. What was always yours, your curiosity, your kindness, your courage, your capacity to love, that remains. That is who you really are. And the last one, I have named it as the daily open hands. Let me tell you, this is an ongoing practice and one of the most powerful one. Once a day, consciously open your hands. Literally, like you have to do it. Wherever you are, uncurl your fingers, feel your palms open and put them facing upward. And as you do, say to yourself, silently or out loud, I release what is not mine to carry. I am open to what is coming. It sounds almost too simple, isn't it? The physical gesture of open hands interrupts the mental pattern of clenching. It signals to your nervous system repeatedly, consistently that you are safe without holding on. Do it every day, not because it will fix everything at once, but because every time you open your hands, you are choosing yourself over that old attachment. And that choice repeatedly changes everything. Open hands, that is the whole practice. Open hands and the willingness to receive what you couldn't see while you were busy holding on to what you were afraid to lose will be seen or felt when you do it deliberately. So, before I let you go, I want to tell you what's coming next week. Before, it's something I have been wanting to talk about for a long time. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Different person, same feeling. Different job, same frustration. Different chapter, same story. You look around at your life and think, how did I end up here again? If that has happened to you, next week's episode is the one you have been waiting for your whole life. We are going to talk about why you keep repeating the same things over and over again. And there is some promise I want to make today. It is not because you are broken. It is not because you are weak. It is not because something is fundamentally wrong with you. It is because every pattern you repeat was once a strategy, a brilliant, resourceful, completely understandable response to something difficult. And understanding that, really understanding it, is the beginning of finally being able to choose differently. So, next week, episode 7 drops, and I cannot wait to go there with you. Together we heal, together we grow, together we rise. On this note, I'm saying goodbye in this episode. I'll see you in the next one.